Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Inertia Gaming here, and welcome to a quick Elden Ring video. I've tried to record this a few times, and I just end up rambling about how damn good this build is, so I'm going to try to run it through just really fast, so I don't end up rambling here for 20 minutes about stuff nobody really cares about. So, first of all, the weapons you're going to use in this build are as follows. You're going to have 3 weapons. You're only going to be using 2 at a time, because using 3, you'll fat roll. Nobody wants that. So, Sacred Relic Sword. This weapon is obtained from killing the final boss in the game and turning in its remembrance. So this is a very end game build. Here are my stats. I'm level 150, focusing on faith. So this weapon art is amazing. Like I said, amazing. So, combining that with the Sword of Milos, as you can see in the top left hand of my screen, I didn't actually use any FP to cast that attack. Normally, this effect costs 50 FP to do. I'm using a talisman that reduces that, so that's why it shows up as 38 at the moment. But using that attack will normally cost a fuck ton of FP. Combining it with the Sword of Milos, which gives you FP if you get kills, is a great combination, as it allows you to just run around in Elden Ring and spam the best weapon art in the game, kill everything in front of you, and basically not even have to play the game because this combination is so damn strong. The second combination that's a little closer to mid-game is the Blasphemous Blade plus the Sword of Milos. You can get the Blasphemous Blade by defeating Rykard, and you get the Sword of Milos by doing Dung Eater's quest, or just straight up killing Dung Eater in the sewers when you find him. That's what I did. It's way simpler, and he even drops his armor when you do that as well, so definitely worth doing. The Blasphemous Blade has an effect similar to the Sword of Milos, where if you get a kill with the Blasphemous Blade, it will give you back health instead of FP. So, let's say you're running around in Elden Ring, you took a bunch of damage, you are almost out of FP, and you have no flasks of either kind left. Well, if you get a kill with both your weapons, you will get both FP and HP back. So you could just run around and get all of your resources back, and then you can continue spamming your weapon art, which on the Blasphemous Blade is fucking awesome. Although it's not as good as the Sacred Relic Sword, it's definitely easier to attain, so that makes sense. The third variation of this build is very simple. It is just the Sacred Relic Sword and the Blasphemous Blade. It's going to give you the same effect as if you were using the Sword of Milos, except instead of getting FP back, you get HP back every time you use this weapon art. And obviously, as you can imagine, you're going to get a lot of HP back. That would probably, if I was down like a third of my health, that would get me back all of it, most likely. Okay, let's go over my talismans really quick. The talismans actually aren't that important in this build, because it mainly just focuses around buffing the Sacred Relic Sword, but they're definitely worth talking about. The Sacred Scorpion Charm raises your holy attack, so it basically just makes your Sacred Relic Sword's weapon art and just its normal swings stronger. The Great Jar's Arsenal I only wear just so I can wear some cooler armor. Malekith's armor is fucking cool, and then the Confessor Hood because I'm edgy. The Shard of Alexander you get from doing Alexander's questline, and if you fuck up Alexander's questline and you see him out in the wild, and you somehow just like can't do it, you can always kill him, I believe, and you would just get the Warrior Shard. I don't do that. Look it up before doing so, because I can't confirm, because these, at the end of Alexander's quest, both drop from him, so I don't understand why you would ever need the Warrior Jar Shard when it just gives you the Shard of Alexander. They weigh the same, and one is just directly better. Either way, that just basically makes your weapon art stronger as well, so the Wave of Gold is even stronger. And then lastly, the Carrion Filigreed Crest lowers your FP consumed by skills. I talked about that a little bit earlier. It just makes it so instead of, here, I'll show you, 50 FP cost on the Wave of Gold, it takes it down to 38, so it is 100% worth it. It just makes it so you can spam this effect way more often. Alright, last thing, because this is a faith build, you might as well use some spells. There's absolutely no reason not to have some extra utility in your back pocket, because although this weapon art is awesome, it's not the solution to every scenario you're going to run into. Having these spells is going to make it so you're basically going to be able to like respond to any scenario you come across. Ezekiel's Decay. 2 puffs of this breath will give the enemy rot. It is one of the best spells in the game for taking on bosses that you're struggling with, because you hit them with Scarlet Rot, and you can just run around and dodge their attacks until it either wears off and you need to apply it again, or they die. Usually, for most bosses, you need to apply it twice, so hitting 4 breaths directly on and then they will die from it, because Rotten Breath, it does so much damage. It does like 10k in total. It's amazing. Theodorix's Magma is also a really good spell, but I feel like a lot of these dragon spells that aren't the Rot Breath do better in an arcane build. Either way, the Dragon Spits does a lot of impact damage. You can do it twice in a row, and then the enemies will also continue to die from the damage over time on the ground. The Flame of Frenzy is the next spell. It's a really good, pretty cheap option that you can just kind of spam if this guy doesn't annihilate me. Relax. Okay, here we go. You can charge it up. And it is pretty damn good. I like it because it's pretty cheap and you can just run around kind of using it over and over again. Okay, one of the last spells, Black Blade. Let's say you come across a boss that is resistant to both Holy and Flame, so you can't use either the Blasphemous Blade or the Sacred Relic Sword. I don't know if there are any bosses like that, but let's just say. And you're struggling. This is your big damage dealer spell-wise. You can cast it twice in a row. It inflicts a debuff that will burn the enemy. And it's just very strong in general. If you find yourself using spells a lot more than your weapon arts just because you prefer them, definitely switch out the Shard of Alexander for the Phlox Canvas Talisman. As you can see here, I have the Faithful. You get the Phlox from doing a quest line that I fucked up, so I never ended up getting it. It just greatly raises the potency of incantations. It's just like these two, where one boosts the attack and one greatly boosts the attack. It's just a better version of the Faithful Talisman. So yeah, put that on, and it will greatly boost the damage of your incantations, and that makes the Black Blade amazing. Okay, next, Swarm of Flies. This is how I beat Melina. I summoned my Mimic tier, and I just pressed L1 over and over again until she got into her second phase. Each one of these that you send out will inflict bleed. It is a very cheap spell. You can just spam it over and over again. It will stun most bosses as they get hit with the bleed. If the boss you're fighting doesn't stun easily, obviously it won't stun, but it's still a very quick cast. It has very good homing, so you can just shoot it and then run away. And yeah, it's an awesome spell. And lastly, we have Fortisax's Lightning Spears. It's just a good AoE spell. It's just cool, too. Sometimes in these builds, everyone's so fixated on min-maxing and making sure their build is the strongest. That spell's fucking cool, so I use it. Okay, one more thing I'd like to go over before the end of the video. There is another talisman that you could use in here. Let's say you didn't care about your armor and just wore like super flat armor. I sadly don't have the talisman I'm talking about, but it is the Antler Talisman. You get it from killing the deer boss that you can summon in Nokron over here. You light a bunch of fires around here, and then I believe it's right here. There's will be a deer that spawns. You kill him, and his remembrance, you can turn that in to get this. It will make it so you get 3 FP back every kill you get. Combining that with the Sword of Milos, it does stack, so it'll make it so every single kill you get will give you 8 FP back. It basically just amps this build even higher. I never bothered to get it because I like my drip, and then obviously the Sacred Scorpion Charm is needed to buff this even further, and these two are non-negotiable. I personally think you need them, so I never got it, but I will definitely be getting it when I go into New Game Plus. Okay, so that's the build, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. There's obviously a lot of room to be creative in this build. You don't need to stick to exactly what I'm showing you. I just wanted to create a build around the Sacred Relic Sword, and it doesn't seem like there's actually that many builds out there talking about it. I think that's probably because it's simply so good that you don't even need a build to use it. I just decided to create a build that would make it even better and even more cheesy. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one.